Ooh. Anybody want to play the What's the Idiot Building Now game? The answer to that question is, how about a snow bike made out of a 24-inch mountain bike using a old skateboard as a front ski. So the plan will be take the wheels off, attach the fork to the ski somehow, and then remove this back part of the frame, build some sort of custom swing arm to hold the track, some sort of drive mechanism, and obviously jack shafts of some sort. And I'm thinking like a Predator 212 or something in this region here someplace, is what I'm thinking. Will it work? I don't know. Let's see what happens. Let's dismantle this bike and get it stripped down. So I've done some parts gathering. We've got some flange bearings, pillow block bearings, some roller bearings, some angle iron. This will be our wear rod, wear bar underneath the ski there. Gives a little bit of cornering traction. Plan is to use this material, just a flat plate of it like this, to create a mounting point for these bearings. We'll use this bar to span between here and kind of create a swing arm type assembly here. It's the plan. This is the plan at this point. It may change. Axle through here. We'll use these bolt points here as a solid mount to hold the axle to the drive wheel and sprocket it out here somewhere. Then we've got the OG Predator motor, which is a Honda GX series. We'll be using in this thing. Thinking just we're just gonna try a centrifugal clutch to start with, not worry about a torque converter, see where that gets us. If it's a problem, we'll put torque converter it, not a big deal. So I think what we're gonna start with is we're gonna get the actual ski part of it assembled and done. So I got kind of a front ride height so I can determine the rear ride height. That's what we're thinking. Drill a little hole through the steel. Took off the head of the nut, the bolt. We'll send that through there and then weld them and grind it smooth. Now we can just drill a couple holes in the actual board, front ski board thing, and we got ourselves a wear rod. So we can possibly turn if it does move. So look at this is the welder, and grind things smooth and gets bolted up. Put a little bend in this. Hang up something like that. So now we'll just put a couple bolt holes, little bolts, weld some bolts, 3 studs. Thinking we'll weld a stud up there, in the middle, in the back, and then we'll go through the wood, ski, and then a washer and lock nut. So let's weld some nuts on these, or bolts on these. Okay, wear rods on it and installed, bolted into place. So now we can actually steer once it's hooked on there. So we'll get this in place on here. Next we'll do is using this angle iron here, we'll get a mount made to clamp this, pin this down, bolt this on here somehow. We'll get this bolted on here somehow. So angle iron, some tabs. That'll be our next. Steering or ski in place, mounted on there, a couple pieces of angle iron, little piece of pipe here, 3/8 inch inside, welded to the front forks. So I call that functional. Next we'll move on to the track piece. This is going to be I think the challenge. Building some sort of swing arm off of these flange bearings and pillow block. We'll start, I don't know, test fitting, test building, seeing what might actually work, and go from there. Start welding. And this is what I'm thinking for the swing arm. Something like this. Tapered the ends in. I'll put a piece of pipe here, which will be the pivot point for the swing arm. Kind of tapered them in a little bit so it's not so wide at the front of the frame there. And then we'll just bracket up bearings, pillow block, or a flange bearing or something. Maybe using this piece of steel to build some flanges. These have to have some sort of adjustability into them too, so they can pull the track tight between the two drive wheels, or the drive wheel and the roller there. So I think for now, we'll get this built, welded. I'm thinking I want to, get some sort of a curved piece of pipe here that'll go like so and so and connect the tail of it together for some more stability. And I'm imagining a fish mouth piece of pipe between the two that bolts and comes out, so you can get the track out of the unit. Maybe, I'm not sure if it's really necessary. This might be stable enough to keep things from not flexing around, but we'll see. Maybe we'll just run it without that and maybe put that in after a test drive if it seems like it's flexing around too much. So let's get this back piece built and get this front flange piece built with the bearing carriers in it, and go from there. There's the theory. I think it's going to work. We've got these little plates here that are adjustable on an adjustable slide here, so we can actually tighten the drive chain that'll be running from here up to another gear here through a jack shaft. It'll actually be the pivot point for the swing arm, and then up to the motor. But also this back here this one's adjustable too, so this allows us to pull the track tight. So next we're just going to clean this up a little bit, make these look a little less crap, and get them welded to the swing arm. And then this part will be done. This is probably the most complicated mess of this whole project. Still don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to give it a shot and see if it does. Let's get to cleaning up and welding, get this together. Now it's tacked together. The brackets holding the bearings are on, but more importantly, it actually kind of works. So this might actually work. Still a chance for failure, but looks good. So I guess next we're going to final weld this whole mess up, and then start working on the bracketry to hold the swing arm to the actual frame, which I'm thinking someplace up in here probably. We'll mount it up there someplace, but we'll first get rid of all this stuff here back here. Obviously we don't need this stuff here. And then we need to figure out how to get this thing mounted in there. because that's going to kind of determine that pivot point, the shaft assembly, and where the actual drive gears are going to actually land, sprockets are going to actually land. So let's start cutting some more. So a little cutting steel here. Frame used to be like so and so, right? Get my arm out of the way there. Used to be something like this. So I just cut the pipe loose and flipped it over, and I'll put it up there like that. This will give us more room for the engine to go down here. The plan is there'll be a motor plate for the motor welded to this plate someplace in here somewhere, and the motor should fit in here somehow, somewhere. There'll be a plate, motor plate in here to hold the actual motor. That's the plan. Don't know if it's going to work, but order the motor plate. Once it gets here, we can kind of hold it here or set the motor on there, and probably take the exhaust pipe off of it and muffler off of it, so it's it's begging for something to burn your leg on. So we'll move it down and get some sort of pipe down here like this. But so let's take this and get this welded into place, and get these little holes patched up, and then we can work on probably cutting the back of this off, getting ready to mount the swing arm, or we'll mount the motor. One of the two, we'll figure it out. So I'm thinking something like that for the motor, as far as where it's going to be located at in the frame. Should clear about everything, give you some place to put your feet, kind of in this area here, so the motor's far enough forward. So I think what we're going to do first is I got a couple lines here, draw, cut, break the pipe loose down below. So I want to use this pipe as part of the down pipe for the frame. So I'm thinking bend, end up landing it right here someplace on the motor mount, and then we'll figure out some way attaching it to the back section here of the frame here. So let's cut some metal, see what we end up with. There's the basic concept, I think. Obviously we'll fixie this up and fill this all in and make it nice and weld it up tight, but that'll give me that's the theory there. So I'll kind of tweak this. If you look at it from the back of the motors a little bit, I didn't quite get the mount in there straight, so I'm gonna have to a little bit and get it lined up straight, but that'll work. We'll figure out something back here for bracing to mount this tight and solid, and once that's in place, then we can finally cut this stuff off the back here. I left this in place as kind of a triangular yeeted, hold everything together thingy, but now we can get rid of that and start bringing in the swing arm in and get that actually fastened to the back of it. We're getting that much closer, so let's get this straightened out here, and weld it up. We'll take the back off and get to work on the swing arm mounting. Alright, pretty happy with that there. What we'll do now is build some gussets here, and here, and then I'll weld this mess all back together again, plug it in and patch it and whatever I need to do to make it look decent, and more importantly be secure. So let's get the welding and cutting. Woo! Gusset made. I got those tacked in. We'll weld them up nice and solid, and then like I said, continue on with the patching up of the frame. Okay, a visual now. Let's get the swing arm put in place, but looks goofy, so we'll call it good. So next we're gonna have to get this swing arm actually attached to the frame in here somehow, somewhere. The plan is, as I do this whenever I do these type of builds, if I can, is this will be a pivot point obviously for the swing arm, but also the jack shaft for the drive down to here with a chain sprocket, and then from here down to the drive shafts here. I do this so no matter where the swing arm is at in its pivot, the chain's always going to stay tight, because nothing changes there. Like on a dirt bike or something where you got the drive back here, as the swing arm comes up, the chain gets loose and tight. In this case, that never happens, so you don't have to worry about tensioners or anything like that, or spitting chains. So let's figure out how I'm going to attach this on. Now it has left this chunk down here as support, and this will actually get lopped off eventually once this is figured out. Get the swing arm mounted. We obviously need to put I'm going to put some sort of a suspension of some sort, spring or something in here. So let's figure that out later, but let's get the swing arm mounted. I'm going to have to actually do some figuring out about the sprocket alignment and jack shafts. That's going to determine exactly where this thing's going to mount on the thing, on the actual bike itself. So let's do some measuring and some cutting and eventually some welding. Well, shit. Looks like the reason for the build has arrived in the form of about 6 inches, 8 inches of snow. So that'll close out part 1 of this video build of this ski bike. We're pretty close. Some chains, spring mounts, foot pegs, get the throttle and brakes hooked up and an exhaust pipe, and we should be able to test run this thing. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.